André, you've been both a competitive powerlifter and a bodybuilder. Tell us why this sport is so unique to you, or so specific for your situation.
Yeah, Sean, thanks. I think I would say it's special, pretty special, also dear place in my heart. I think the major reason being that I was always a sports lover. I always liked sports since I was very young. But unfortunately, I was diagnosed with an eye condition called Stargardt's disease, and that left me legally blind at the age of 10. Now that means, maybe at a high level, that at age 10 I had about 10% central vision remaining, and that obviously has got a lot of impact in one's life. So I did participate in all the normal school sports. South Africa being a rugby mad country, obviously I tried my hand at rugby, which I really enjoyed. Also tried a bit of tennis and cricket, but I soon realized that not seeing the ball is a bit of a problem. So there was no ways I could be competitive in those sports, although I enjoyed it even at that age. So I realized that if I wanted to be competitive in sports, I needed to try something different. I was also very interested in the martial arts, and although the instructor initially felt a bit uncomfortable with my visual impairment, he said, you know, I'm open-minded, let's work around this. If there's a big karate class, I will come and help you individually. And I then joined the Goju Karate Club in Bloemfontein at the time. And it was an amazing experience. I really enjoyed the martial arts. But to fast forward, I progressed. I actually got to my shodan, my black belt in karate. And it's something that I really enjoyed tremendously. I also competed because I am a competitor by heart, so I started competing, and you would probably know that there are two forms of competition, the Kumite or the free fighting, and then the Kata or the forms division. Now this is a positive message to all our visually impaired people out there, that karate or martial arts is a wonderful sport for anybody who is even completely blind. It is a complete development of the body, of the mind, and it's amazing how you can actually increase your senses without vision. In the competitive domain, I found that the kata or the form obviously didn't require vision. It's a series of movements strung together, and that was not difficult at all to compete in the kata. Unfortunately, in the Kumite, it became a bit of a problem, because I often was disqualified for excessive contact, and I was also punched in the face many a time. And I then realized that going forward, that also in the long run wasn't the best competitive sport for me. Unfortunately, over time also my vision deteriorated even further, and that was obvious that I had maybe to look for another alternative competitive sport. As part of the martial arts training, we did some weight training, and that's where my interest in weight training actually got kick-started. As part of that strengthening, I then soon joined a local gym, and I also saw that I was naturally fairly strong. I wasn't the biggest boy, but I could lift heavier weights than sometimes guys who were bigger than I was at the time, realizing that I had some potential for maybe strength sports.
Did the other members of the club also do the weight training?
They did. We did strengthening and conditioning as part of our martial arts training.
Is that maybe how you picked up that you've got some extra additional strength?
I did. I could see, for example, if we performed the bench press, that I would typically be able to bench press a bit heavier than somebody who was 10 or 15 kgs heavier in body weight than I was. So it became apparent to me that, you know, maybe I'm naturally a bit stronger than a person of similar size. But I soon enjoyed it, and really also a positive message out there. Weight training is another sport that a visually impaired person could really take on and excel, whether that be powerlifting or bodybuilding. And again, to fast forward, I progressed with my weight training over the years, and eventually I competed in powerlifting. I even competed overseas in the US in 1995. I competed in the IPF World Championships, which I won. I won the 100 kg weight division that year in Colorado Springs. And I've also done a few natural bodybuilding shows, although I focused on the powerlifting. What makes it so special is that you can compete against able-bodied individuals at the same level.
And how did they treat you because of that, or what was it, a welcoming sport?
Yeah, I found it a very open sport. I found both coaches, instructors and fellow competitors being very open to it. I never found any problems, or there was never any animosity or any of those sort of things. So for me it was a positive experience. I always said the biggest challenge was getting to the gym or the training facility, because you need transport. Not being able to drive presents some other issues. So you either have to have a training partner that you can travel with, or you need to have some transport arrangement. If you can't train at home and have your own facility, and you must train at a commercial gym, you've got that transport challenge. But that you would have in any case if you wanted to compete in any sport as a person with a disability. But that, I would say, was the biggest challenge. If you start out, for example, if you've got no vision at all and you haven't got any a focal point, a point to focus on, if you do a squat, for example, balance is a big issue, and it really takes you some time to find your right balance, and you really need to work hard at it and train. The other thing, if you grasp a bar for a bench press or a deadlift, to grab the bar evenly. Mm-hmm. And obviously if you do a heavy deadlift and you don't take the bar evenly, it can be a big problem. So initially the coach would assist me just to help me with my hand positioning and to make sure that it's good. But after you do it for many times, you become used to that.
And the actual setting up of the weights, maybe? Is that something you also figure out with time?
You do that very quickly, because obviously different weights, they change, they differ in size, the 20 and the 15s and the 10s. So that's fairly easy to pick up. But usually you train in a squat or with a training partner. But the sport itself, in my view, is really completely accessible in terms of being. What is interesting is that you have got federations, obviously open federations for any athlete, able-bodied or a person with a disability, and then there are specific sports bodies for athletes with disabilities. At the time there was a separate powerlifting federation, for example, for visually impaired athletes. It was part of the IPF, the International Powerlifting Federation, and I was able to compete both as an athlete with a visual impairment, and I also competed in an able-bodied competition.
So it's maybe good that we can point this out to anyone watching with a similar situation.
Indeed, I think it opens both worlds to you. And then in powerlifting, there is also the possibility of only doing a bench press competition, and people with physical disabilities, for example, persons in wheelchairs, paraplegics, who can still use their upper bodies and their arms, can still perform the bench press. And that is a Paralympic sport, and you can compete in international level as a powerlifter doing your bench press. So in terms of strength sport or physique sport, like in bodybuilding, it's really open for persons with disabilities. And I think that's the positive message that we want to have out there, that it's something that a person with a disability can compete in on equal footing if they choose to do that. And it plays a big part in your total development as a person and as a human being, especially if you are driven towards being competitive. That would be the positive message.
That's great. And I think you also mentioned to me somebody in a wheelchair that actually did quite well, if you maybe want to...
Yes, we've got a local competitor that I used to know. Yeah, Mrs. Mookie Grobler was one of the top-notch local powerlifters who competed internationally. If I'm not mistaken, she won international titles as a bench presser.
So yes, thanks Andre. I hope and I believe this can be an encouragement for people in similar situations, specifically people that feel they need to be more active. So a great sport for someone.
Sean, indeed, I think the positive message to the viewers out there would be that if you or a relative or maybe a child has got a disability, please, if they're interested in sport, consider strength sports like bodybuilding or powerlifting. It makes a tremendous difference. I believe in the power of sport in developing people as a whole, becoming the best version of yourself. So on a positive note, really go for it and think muscles.
Yeah, okay.